History is written by the victors. But what about the stories that were never told? We all know about the fall of Rome and the two world wars, but history is full of bizarre, tragic, and astonishing events that completely change the world in ways we rarely talk about. These are the turning points that slip through the cracks, the hidden histories that are just as crucial as the headlines. So today, we're diving deep into the archives to uncover 4 incredible stories that prove the past is far stranger and more interesting than you ever imagined. Get ready, because these forgotten events will change the way you see history forever. First up, let's travel to Western Australia in 1932. The country was in the grip of the Great Depression, and farmers were struggling. As if things weren't bad enough, a new enemy appeared on the horizon, an army of 20,000 emus. These giant, flightless birds, migrating after their breeding season, were wreaking havoc on wheat crops. The farmers, many of whom were ex-soldiers, petitioned the government for help. The Minister of Defence, Sir George Pearce, agreed. His solution: deploy the military. Yes, you heard that right. The Australian Army declared war on emus. Major G.P.W. Meredith of the Royal Australian Artillery was dispatched with 2 soldiers and 2 Lewis machine guns, along with 10,000 rounds of ammunition. On paper, it seemed like an easy victory. In reality, it was a total fiasco. The emus proved to be surprisingly brilliant military strategists. They would split into small groups, making them difficult targets. Their tough feathers and unpredictable movements meant that even when hit, they often kept running. The soldiers were outmaneuvered at every turn. In one early engagement, the soldiers spotted a flock of about 50 emus. They opened fire, but the birds scattered so effectively that only a handful were taken down. A few days later, they attempted an ambush near a dam where over 1,000 emus had gathered. The machine gun jammed after just a dozen birds fell, and the rest escaped. Major Meredith was quoted in a newspaper saying, "If we had a military division with the bullet-carrying capacity of these birds, it would face any army in the world. They can face machine guns with the invulnerability of tanks." After about a month of frustration and using up a quarter of their ammunition for very little gain, the military withdrew. The press had a field day, mocking the failed campaign. The Great Emu War ended in a humiliating defeat for the humans. The emus had won. It's a comical story, but it is also a powerful reminder of humanity's often arrogant assumption that we can easily control nature. Sometimes, nature fights back and wins. Now, let's turn to a story that's less comical and far more chilling. Picture a year where summer never arrives. That's exactly what happened in 1816, a year that would go down in history as the year without a summer. The cause was on the other side of the world. In April 1815, Mount Tambora in the Dutch East Indies, now Indonesia, erupted. It was the most powerful volcanic eruption in recorded human history, over 100 times more powerful than the eruption of Mount Vesuvius that buried Pompeii. The volcano blasted an enormous cloud of ash and sulfur dioxide into the stratosphere, which then spread around the globe like a veil. This veil blocked sunlight, causing global temperatures to plummet. The effects were catastrophic. In North America and Europe, frost and snow were reported in June, July, and August. Crops failed on a massive scale. In New England, it was known as the Poverty Year. In Ireland, the resulting famine was severe, and food riots broke out across Britain and France. The social unrest was immense, as people starved and governments struggled to cope. But this climate disaster also had an unexpected and profound impact on culture. The dreary, sunless weather forced people indoors. During a holiday at Lake Geneva, a group of friends, including Lord Byron, Percy Bysshe Shelley, and his future wife Mary, were trapped inside by the relentless rain. To pass the time, Byron proposed a contest to see who could write the best ghost story. It was during this gloomy summer that an 18-year-old Mary Shelley conceived the idea for her masterpiece, Frankenstein. Similarly, the bleak weather inspired Lord Byron to write his poem Darkness, which begins with the haunting line, "I had a dream, which was not all a dream. The bright sun was extinguished." The dramatic, blood-red sunsets caused by the atmospheric ash also influenced the work of painter J.M.W. Turner. The year without a summer was a time of immense suffering, but it also sparked some of the most enduring works of art and literature of the Romantic era, born from a global catastrophe. From a global climate event, we now move to a single, catastrophic moment in a Canadian port city. The date is December 6, 1917. World War I is raging in Europe, and Halifax, Nova Scotia, is a bustling, vital port for shipping troops and supplies overseas. That morning, a French cargo ship called the SS Mont Blanc was making its way through the harbour. It was packed to the brim with high explosives for the war effort: TNT, picric acid, gun carton, and barrels of flammable benzol on its deck. It was, essentially, a floating bomb. In a narrow channel of the harbour, a Norwegian vessel, the SS IMO, collided with the Mont Blanc. The collision wasn't severe, but it was enough to knock over the barrels of benzol, which spilled and ignited. A fire started on the deck of the Mont Blanc. The crew, knowing the apocalyptic danger they were on, immediately abandoned ship and rowed for shore, shouting warnings that nobody could understand. Onlookers, including children on their way to school, gathered by the windows and on the docks to watch the spectacle of the burning ship. They had no idea what was about to happen. At 9:04 a.m., the Mont Blanc exploded. It was the largest man-made explosion the world had ever seen, a title it would hold until the first atomic bomb was detonated 28 years later. The blast unleashed a shockwave that traveled faster than the speed of sound, leveling a huge portion of the city. Buildings were flattened, a tsunami washed over the shore, and a plume of smoke rose 2 miles into the sky. Nearly 2,000 people were killed instantly, and another 9,000 were injured, many of them blinded by shattering glass as they watched from their windows. The Halifax Explosion was a disaster of almost unimaginable scale. Yet, from this horror came a powerful story of human resilience and cooperation. Aid poured in from across Canada and the United States, especially from Boston, which sent a relief train within hours. The disaster response efforts in Halifax led to major changes in port safety regulations worldwide and became a case study in emergency management. Every year since, Halifax sends a giant Christmas tree to the city of Boston as a thank you, a lasting symbol of gratitude born from one of history's darkest days. Finally, we're going to dive into the Aegean Sea to uncover a mystery that rewrites our understanding of the ancient world. In the year 1900, a group of Greek sponge divers took shelter from a storm near the island of Antikythera. When the storm passed, they decided to dive in the area and stumbled upon an ancient Roman shipwreck. The wreck was filled with treasures, marble statues, pottery, and jewelry. But among the artifacts, they found a strange, corroded lump of bronze, about the size of a showbox. It was dismissed as an unimportant piece of junk and sat in a museum for decades. It wasn't until the 1950s and later, with the advent of X-ray and CT scanning technology, that researchers began to understand what they had found. This corroded lump was not junk. It was a machine of incredible complexity. Inside were over 30 interlocking bronze gears, a sophisticated system of dials and pointers. This device, now known as the Antikythera Mechanism, has been called the world's first analog computer. Dating back to the 2nd century BCE, the mechanism was an astronomical calculator of breathtaking genius. By turning a hand crank, it could predict the positions of the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets known to the ancient Greeks. It could model the irregular orbit of the moon, predict eclipses, and even track the 4-year cycle of the ancient Olympic Games. The level of mechanical engineering and astronomical knowledge required to build this device was thought to be completely beyond the capabilities of ancient civilizations. Nothing even close to its complexity would appear again in the world for over 1,000 years, until the astronomical clocks of medieval Europe. The Antikythera Mechanism is a stunning testament to the lost knowledge of the ancient world. It proves that our ancestors were far more advanced than we often give them credit for, and forces us to wonder what other technological marvels from antiquity have been lost to the depths of time. From a failed war against birds to a year without summer, from a city-destroying explosion to a mysterious ancient computer, these forgotten events are more than just historical trivia. They are crucial pieces of the human story. They show us our follies, our resilience, our forgotten genius, and our vulnerability in the face of nature. They remind us that the history we learn is often just the surface, an edited version of a much richer and more complex past. It leaves us with a tantalizing question. What other hidden histories are still out there, waiting in a shipwreck or a dusty archive, ready to be discovered? Thanks so much for watching. If you found these stories as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more journeys into the forgotten corners of history. And let me know in the comments which of these stories surprised you the most. See you next time.